started as an idea to sort of protest that 1% of people that own everything.
Right.
Now that includes like multimillionaires, like movie stars and things like that. That's still only 1%.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates would be one of those. Some of them are
Steve
really
Jobs.
good people,
Yeah.
but not all of them are. Most of them aren't.
Right.
The owners of
right.
Monsanto and the big banks and big food companies and all
Yeah, I
these.
understand.
They have it all.
Right.
That was how it started. It has shifted into a realization that we all kind of need our finger wagged at us a little bit for letting certain people in our overall societies just fall between the cracks.
Right.
Starve to death, live on the streets,
Right.
live in their own filth all the time, whether they're mentally ill or are homeless populace, or in a place like India, you have a lot of people that just don't make a lot of money, so they build little houses and they have to live in them. And we realize that basic human need is, you need it in order to survive.
Right.
And in a modern world, aside from like shelter, food, and not clothing, because it depends on where you live, but medical care. So if you're hungry, you need to lay down and you're sick.
Yeah.
Those are your primary ones. But in a modern world, education comes into play, because you can't exist in this world without some form of education.
Yes.
So that becomes another need, something you require to survive.
Right.
So it's sort of shifted into this, why do we have so many people whose needs are not met?
Right.
We have tons of people who get what they want.
Yes.
But there are a lot more that don't get anything and can't find a place to sleep. They go hungry. They die of sickness.
Right.
And this goes back to the healthcare industry in this country, healthcare in other countries where, like in some Arabic countries where the sheiks are sitting on a whole bunch of money, but their people are starving.
Right.
It's like, as a ruler or someone at the top, you have a responsibility, because you've got all that money on the backs and blood and bones of all the people below you.
Right.
So they're the ones working in your streets. They're the ones, fighting every day to get your money to you.
Yeah.
So people just sort of got fed up.
Right. And so
this is the result. They decide to start moving out into public spaces and living there as a sign of what other people have been doing for decades.
Right.
And it's like we show solidarity by living with the people that have less, to show not only that we can survive together peacefully, but to show things like compassion and understanding. We don't want to shuffle the homeless into shelters.
Right.
We want to help them get homes.
Right.
We want to help them get food so they can get off the alcohol.
Right.
And then they can start doing something that is their passion. And is what they want to do, what they can contribute. Imagine all of the beautiful things we have in the world now.
Yeah.
Imagine if 50 years ago, all these rich people got together and said, we're going to take care of everyone.
Yeah.
And then imagine all the more things we would have now if everyone on the planet for 50 years had their basic human needs provided. Available. Doesn't say you have to have it, but it should be available to anyone that needs or wants it.
Right.
And then you've got all the technology. I mean, imagine if all those computer programmers that ended up as a homeless kid.
Right.
They got shuffled through the system. And he loved computers, but he could never keep a laptop because it always got stolen. And he had to turn tricks in order to get it in the first place. And he was a great programmer, but he's lost. Because... Yes. Donation?
Yeah.
Thank you. And so that's the type of thing. What I think I love about this is that it has gotten people talking.
Yeah.
It has opened up communication.
Right.
We are at an impasse as a species right now.
Yeah.
No longer does it matter where you're from.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Yes, right.
So we're at an impasse.
Right.
Where we can either peaceably adapt to providing and being there for one another. Right. I understand you have to take care of your family, but everybody could do more than what we have been doing. We all know this. This is why it's shame on us all.
Then taxes should be higher.
Well, the thing is, why should the people who have been breaking their backs so much pay for a problem that was really created by these 100 elite people that sit on? It's like there's a big gap. There's people who have like 50 to like $100 million, and then it goes to people who have $70 billion or $200 billion.
Yeah, more and more.
One of them is clocked at like $3.2 trillion is what he's worth.
Right.
And it's like, it's not just the banks, but it began attacking the banks because the banks got a big bailout in this country.
Right.
But it gave them a bunch of money.
Yeah.
The American people now have no jobs. They're losing industry all over the place. The dollar is dropping.
Yes.
I mean, and so why would you bail out the big banks and not try to give some big refund to your people instead?
Right.
With the money they gave the banks, they could have given every person like $5,000 in this country.
Right.
And that would have naturally stimulated the economy. People would have been out spending. That means they would have had to hire more, and then they would have had to work more, and then it just would have roller coaster. Didn't happen.
But what's your expectations? What you live together, you communicate, we talk about this. What your expectations? What will happen if this movement will be successful? What these banks or government will do?
I personally would like transparency. Transparency.
Okay.
100%. From the governments, from the banks, from Monsanto. I have a lot of issues with Monsanto.
What is Monsanto? I don't know.
Monsanto is the number one seed producer in the world.
Seed producer of what?
Of all seeds.
Oh, seeds.
Oh, they grow our food.
Genetically.
And they've genetically altered them so they don't reproduce. And you can only get those seeds now. They've destroyed the corn. There used to be over 35 varieties of corn that grew in South America.
Yeah.
Now there's only 4.
Oh.
Because Monsanto did that to the industry. They cultivated that corn and made it so it would not reproduce. And destroyed it.
Yeah.
We've almost made corn extinct, which sounds funny.
Yeah.
But think about everything we use corn for.
Yeah, these corporations.
And that's what it is. It's like you just finally have enough.
But see, I think that it's already been in the history, because I'm from the country where people were saying, oh, only the Tsar and all these royal people have all the money. We want to have this money. So communism came. So what is the result?
The result was communism was a little more forced.
Yes.
You didn't have a choice.
Yes.
All I'm suggesting is give people a choice. You don't have to eat the free food. And you could establish it the way it is to where grocery stores could actually have generic items that are free. Every grocery store. They already have generic items that they produce themselves. So they could get a certain tax break by making those free. And then anybody could have them. So you could still have Fruit Loops. It'd just be the cheap version. You know, you could still have a little amenities that we've all become so accustomed to. It would just be the Walgreens version or the Walmart version, the cheaper version of the same thing.
But food is, it's so much food here, but education and health care.
Hugely important. Probably more important in some ways than food or shelter.
Yes.
Because if you get sick, and that happens so much with the homeless populace, they get sick and they get medicated and thrown out. Well, they don't have anywhere to lay down. The doctor says lay down for 2 days. What are they supposed to do? They have a shopping cart and this. And even in your country, when communism was falling, you saw a lot of that homeless dissidents. You saw more of it than the glory of communism. Yay, it's so perfect. Not so much. I even think that capitalism is great in theory. I just don't think it applies in practice. Not in a large government. Capitalism works on small communities where you can get everyone's opinion. But in this country, we're not even democratic anymore. We proved several years ago that it does not matter who you vote for. They will put whoever they want there. The electoral Congress.
Who have the money,
whatever,
money makes everything.
And, people feel let down by Obama, who said we can change and, have hope and all this. And it's still not better. But the funny thing is in this country, I'm sure you notice this, people don't seem to notice or care.
No,
They go on with their own daily lives. They keep shopping. They keep eating at restaurants. They keep doing what they can, clinging to the dream until the dream is ripped from them.
Yeah.
By a bank or by someone.
Yeah.
So they're going to be indifferent until it affects them.
Right.
And now it's getting to a point where a lot of people have an aunt that lost her home, or a parent that was failed by the healthcare system.
Right.
And because of that, there's more of a movement.
Yeah, but see, medical system, people here, they...
And see, you said this was like communism.
Right.
But when this started, I went to a library, started researching history, looking at great movements or revolutions in history.
Yeah.
And I realized that at no point in human history had any set of people stood up against tyranny. Some chai for you, brother. Thank you. On a global level. Ever. All the poor people in all the countries are doing this. And not just the poor people, but people who are middle class. Because here we have a lot of people that sublet their houses and come and got a tent and lived out here.
Yeah.
Giving up their luxury as a sacrifice for the recognition of humanity. That's what I think this movement is about. The recognition of humanity.
Recognition of humanity. Yeah, I see. We'll see how it will go. We'll see what will happen.
We've got two choices.
Okay.
It's going to be peaceful or not. One of the two. I mean, that's the way it is. It's too big at this point to just go away.
Yeah.
Or to just be forgotten. It's going to be either peaceful or not.
It should be peaceful, so you keep your lives.
We try as hard as we can.
And so you will be healthy. And
but
people who do...
those big guys will fight tooth and nail to keep it the way it is.
Yeah, right.
So, and they control the military, they control the police departments, they control, so...
I think
again,
it was like a different
one way or the
ways,
other. It's got to go one way or the other.
But see, if we compare...
Take a picture? You guys can just talk and...
And you send me via the email, right? The picture.
Do you have the email? Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a card or something? A card?
A card?
She has her phone right there.
Okay, yeah.
But see, like if we compare, for example, Russia and China, and they both of these countries, they had a communism, right? And in Russia, it was war, and it was death, and it was hating of each other. It was a lot of bad things. But in China, right, everything was peaceful, everything was right. And right now, China is feeding and supplying the things for the whole world. So there is a ways to be peaceful or the ways to fight. And so,
and that's a perfect example of that, where they both have the same system, and one destroyed itself and the other maintained through peace. You know, and actually China's become a little bit like social capitalism a little bit. They're kind of in between the two lines, which is where I think we should be.
Yeah.
Let it be available. Yeah. If you want to utilize it, that's great. Yeah. But if you want to go out and work and make more money, then that's great too.
Yeah.
You know, but you shouldn't have to ever worry about, am I going to eat?
Yeah.
You know? You shouldn't.
Like Steve Jobs, when he was still alive and just diagnosed with his cancer, he was talking to the Stanford students, and he told them, only the person who is hungry and foolish could create something, could be entrepreneurial, could create, a new company, new job, this iPhone that we have. It's only hungry people, because people who is not hungry, who is so relaxed, and they are smoking their cigarettes and they enjoy the alcohol, they just cannot do anything. Only hungry people, they can achieve, they can do.
And then right after that, this happens. Steve Jobs was a prophet. Yes.
Yeah, I know, but see how he changed the life, and see how all these changes in the technology everywhere, they're changing the life too fast, I think.
I agree. Robert Anton Wilson said that. Said that technology would begin to be moving so swiftly that we would not be able to keep up with it. And we're already seeing, there's a new iPhone coming out for Christmas. By not even midway, probably 2 months into next year, there'll be another version. And it's just progressing quicker than you can keep up with it, both financially and mentally. I don't go on Facebook anymore because it keeps changing. And every time I go on and I learn it, it changes. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep adapting to a new system. I have to keep relearning just to see what my sister's doing with her belly dancing troupe. I mean, I'll call her. It's much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier. That's why my phone only calls. It took so long to find a phone. It does no emails, no texting, no games, no movies, nothing. Just calls people.
I feel that I'm moving toward your like decision because I was doing like
so
100.
confusing,
Yeah.
so confusing. When you're touching and pointing and I have nails, I mean, I'm poked the wrong thing.
But
They
it's very
useful.
convenient.
They have
It's
made
very
this movement,
convenient.
Definitely. They made this new movement possible, and I like to think of it as yet another of a series